So, as you can see, welcome guys. So, as you can see, today we're doing a video of what water looks like with soap in. We're just...
Yeah, we now do like sort of very superficial science experiments these days.
Yeah, no. Actually, what's happening is we've had a lot of emails. Well, a few emails. We get emails. Yeah, that's another thing. Guys, if you have something you want to say, you're perfectly fine to email us. That's cool. But if you just pop it in the comments below, I'm more likely to see it because my phone goes, bleep, hey, this is happening.
And a lot of emails end up going into junk folders and we're not aware of them.
That's absolutely it. I think it's Nigerian princes contacting me all the time, so I don't touch them. But really, it's somebody online who's gone, I'm really interested in the subject matter of today, which is how you wash your resin models.
I mean, if you do get an email from a Nigerian prince about money, go for it. I replied, I've now got £100,000.
This is true.
I mean, I'm still waiting for it.
Yeah, you sent them the £500 fee.
Yeah, I'm told it's coming.
But anyway, so the models we're using today are from Rumbleslam, which is the wrestling-based combat game based around fantasy. It's fantastic and made by TTCombat. This is the same process you'd use when doing any resin. So Forge World, other places, other place. I can't think...
You thought you had a list there, didn't
you? Yeah, I am. Well, Hulk War Games used to use resin, but I think all their stuff's plastic now.
This is why you should make notes before we start filming.
I did. I wrote TTCombat, Forge World, and then lots of question marks. And that's how it's come across. So, first thing you need is a bowl. I like to use plastic Tupperware because we got loads of it and we don't use it for anything. Except storing...
devices.
Yeah, other storage devices are available. I've used warm water. You don't want to use too hot because it'll make the resin models bend. And cold water just feels creepy when you've got your hands in it. So lukewarm's good. Put it hot and then wait for it to go cold. Measure it the right temperature. It's entirely up to you. None of that's wrong. Then what you need is a toothbrush. Again, any toothbrush will do. But I'm using a Paw Patrol toothbrush that I stole from my 2-year-old son, who's nearly 3. He'd be remiss if I didn't tell you that.
And you'll get the toothbrush back after you finish.
It's his old one. It's fine. But the point is, you need a toothbrush. Then, what you do is, throw the models very carefully, because they're resin, into the water. Now, what I tend to do...
Does it matter what kind of soap you use? Can you just use dishwashing liquid?
I always use washing up liquid. Sometimes your phone makes that weird noise when you're doing it. No. Yeah, I use washing up liquid. Any brand will do.
There's nothing you should avoid, though, is what I'm actually asking.
No, just bleaches and things don't use.
Yeah.
But I mean like sprays with bleaches in.
Right. Yeah.
So washing up liquid is what I tend to use. It seems to work perfectly well. I'll normally leave it to soak overnight. And then I will scrub it.
Right.
I'm just going to show you now briefly the kind of pressure and stuff that I would put on when scrubbing.
Imagine they've been left overnight at this stage.
Yeah. Do like a doodaloo 24 hours later kind of gig.
Why leave them for that long?
Just to let them soak. Just to let all the soapy water get into the permeated areas. Is a completely made up kind of technical jargon for... I just have always done it. And that was because when I worked for Games Workshop, somebody at head office who worked for Forge World told me to leave them 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Or he said specifically overnight.
So it's been passed down.
Yeah, from generation to generation of nerd.
There's an oral history behind this.
Yeah, so what you do... Get your toothbrush good and soapy as well. Treat it. Sometimes what I will do, because they've been left overnight so the bubbles have mainly subsided, I'll get a little egg cup or something with some more washing up liquid and water in. So then it goes on the brush and you just give it a little scrub. Don't be too vicious with it because the resin and the models will snap. Yeah. But at the same time, don't be gentle.
Don't be too soft.
Yeah.
Don't be too gingerly.
Yes, don't be ginger. I think I've said that wrong. You can be ginger if you'd like. But yeah, so you just give it...
Sometimes we recommend it.
Indeed. Give it a little rub everywhere. I'd overly rub in the crotch area, my apologies. And then just put it down onto a bit of kitchen roll to let it dry, air dried. Don't use anything like a hairdryer or anything like that, because again, it's resin and it'll, well, it can, it will certainly soften. And if you've got things like with weapons and stuff, you'll have the weapon bend. It is easy enough to bend it back by heating the kettle, putting the weapon over it, so, and it flops back the other way. But yeah, because I am going to leave them overnight, because as you saw, I've just put them in, I'm going to put it back in there, but I tend to then leave it on a bit of kitchen roll to dry for about an hour, and then I'll pat it down with a separate bit of kitchen roll. I'll usually do this twice as well. So if you're wanting...
just because you're quite sort of
finicky?
particular?
No, it's because I once bought a model called a Squigoth, which is like a big orc monster creature, and the first time I ever took it to a tournament, all the paint chipped off one side, because I hadn't washed it properly.
So it's that sort of double check.
Yeah, so it's a double checking situation. Once it's all dry, I would then do the spraying. So I would then undercoat it. I would usually give it an undercoat of black first. And then if you're going to put a colour over the top of it, I would then do a second very light coat of that undercoat. If it is going to be black, just give it the one coat of black's fine, but I'll always do a black underneath first. It gives an extra coat. Some people like to spray it with a matte varnish before they do an undercoat. I don't particularly like that, but that's purely just because I was, when taught how to...
What's the advantages?
It's just an extra coat underneath, but for me that's an extra coat that paint will get filled up by.
Alright, so you're going to lose some of the sort of...
You could do, depending on how thick you do it. So yeah, I said... Everything I learnt from washing resin all came from when I worked for Games Workshop. One of the guys who worked for Forge World, which is the company who works in resin within Games Workshop, they're owned by the same people, showed me how to do it. So I'm saying this is how I do it based on the information I've been shown. You will get a lot of people who argue you don't need to wash it at all. You get a lot of people who say you need to varnish it first, varnish it after. You get a lot of different methods. This is how I do it. And so far with Rumbleslam, we've had very little chippage. The odd bit, usually from being dropped or knocked off a table, never just from being in your game's case. You will find if you don't wash it, in my personal experience, when you're painting it, bits chip off. And it's a nightmare. Especially like when I painted that troll and I did all the blue blending, I hadn't washed under his arms properly. Rookie mistake. And it meant that if you actually look really closely to it, you can see bits where the paint isn't even, where it chipped off and I had to retouch it up. So just to quickly summarise, because I've rambled on a bit. Tub to put the water in. Lukewarm water mixed with washing up liquid of your choice of brand, or even something like an Ajax or a Flash Clean is fine as long as you dilute it heavily. Leave the models to soak overnight. You need a very light bristle toothbrush, which is why I say a baby's or a child's toothbrush is really good. You don't want to be using a really firm one because it'll snap off bits, especially if you've got frail bits like these have the spikes on the shoulders, the claws could easily snap off if you're using like a Warhammer model. Like I've had bits of guns and stuff snap off from doing it. So you want a light toothbrush. Leave it to soak overnight. Give them a scrub, leave them to air dry for about an hour, and then pat down dry them. Again, you don't want to be too rough because resin's particularly fine. Then base them however you're going to. Like stick them on a base or stick them on a plinth or top of a paint pot, however you normally paint. Undercoat them as normal, and then you should be good to go painting wise.
Cool.
One thing I would say, and I haven't done it with these yet purely because it was for the demonstration of the video, I'll always clean them up first, so take off any mold lines or anything like that. Because if you wash them first and then you scrape bits off, then you've uncovered resin underneath. But basically what you're washing off is actually the residue stuff they put to get them out of its mold.
Actually, I was going to actually ask that. So it's like, obviously, when we've had some of these resin models, you call it the flash.
You get flash on it.
So how do you remove that, or does this process remove that?
Oh no, I'll remove that the same way I would do if I was removing excess bits of plastic or anything, or bits of metal off metal models. I would usually use either a craft knife or some clippers, and I will clip all those bits off first. I wouldn't glue your model together and then soak it. I would clean it up, wash it, then put it together. That was a step I missed out. My apologies. Build it to the level you would normally build it to before undercoating. I know some people paint it completely and then glue it together. I don't like doing that because sometimes glue can take bits of the paint off. And I find it harder for blending things like the part of the arm into the shoulder.
I suppose it's use your own discretion on how complex your model is and how skilled you feel you are.
Yes.
Very finite.
Yeah,
bits.
But in terms of it, so the steps that we've just went through is the steps that I would go through when washing models.
Yes.
And as I said, we've used Rumbleslam models, but but it's the same method for any resin-based model. For the most part, you don't need to wash plastic or metal because they don't use a lubricant agent to get it out of the mold. It's a massive misconception that you do need to with plastic. I've never heard of it by anybody who works with it. And one of my friends, Pete, that was his job all day, was to, when he worked for Games Workshop, was to sort out all the molds and do the... He basically worked with taking the sprues and all that stuff.
So that's one of the differences between if your model's plastic or resin.
Yes. And as I said, we've done this video specifically because we've had a couple of people ask, do we wash them? How do we wash them? How do we find the Rumbleslam models in terms of needing to be washed? From the experience I had with the first batch we painted, which was the Orcs, I would definitely say they need washing. But anyway, I'm going to leave that there because we've rambled on loads. Indeed. We do think we're probably going to do some more of these type of videos. Like you said, with Flash, how to clean up a model. These are stuff that we're going to do. If that's something you guys are interested in, then certainly give this a like so we know that it's being viewed and enjoyed. Because it's okay having 300 views on a video. Optimistic. But if we've got one like,
11.
one like, then maybe it's not the videos we should be doing on our channel. But anyway, pray to the dice gods, hope to smile upon you. Say goodbye, Alan.
Bye.
Bye.